Many of you have asked where Rhonda has been the last few weeks. She's been dealing with a family tragedy, and she's here with us this morning to talk about it. Rhonda?
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been nearly 3 weeks now. January 12th, my 37-year-old son, Andrew, died by suicide. The pain my family has experienced has been unimaginable. And I'll be honest with you, I struggled with how I was going to come back on air and put a smile on my face. But so many people have reached out to me sharing how their family has been impacted by suicide. I remember God gave me this platform to help others, and that's exactly what my son would want me to do. Andrew was my firstborn. The doctor had told me I wouldn't be able to have kids. And whenever I got pregnant for him, he put me on bed rest for the first 3 months. I know now that was God telling me, get some rest, you are in for a ride. Andrew was born with a personality that lit up a room. I remember my sister and her boyfriend used to come and pick him up. They wanted to take him on dates with them. His daycare teacher showed up at his funeral. She watched him when he was 4, and here it was 30-something years later, and she showed up at his funeral to tell me how much she loved him. Andrew was just a funny little mess. You never knew what he was going to say or do. One time I took him to the ear doctor, and I told the ear doctor I was having a problem hearing. And he said, well, get up in the chair and let me check you out. And he found a pearl in my ear. I knew immediately which one of my children had done it, and I looked straight at Andrew. He just thought it was funny to put a pearl in my ear while I was taking a nap. That was him. That was his personality, and people loved him for it. Andrew's father and I divorced when he was about 7. I know it was really hard on him and his sisters, and I think that's why it was so important to him to keep his family together. But about a week before his death, he found out that wasn't going to happen, and his was going down the same path. It really hit him hard.
So obviously, anytime we go through major transitions in our lives, it can be a difficult thing, particularly when there are kids involved.
We knew Andrew was struggling that week, and me and his sisters tried to stay as close to him as we could. I remember one of our last conversations that I had with him face to face. We were talking in his kitchen, and I was telling him, baby, if I could take your pain, I would, but I can't. We just have to get you over this part of the raw emotions, and maybe then you can see that there was so much more left. This might be the start of a whole new chapter in your life. I mean, he had a great job, a great home. He had a heart of gold. This really could have been the start of a new chapter in his life. I have a text from my son, and it starts with, Mom, I love you. And it ends with, please make sure my boys know how much I love them. We got to him in time that night. We got him to a hospital, but they released him. Days later, he was gone.
It's so important to take any inkling of suicidality very, very seriously. And if you think that someone you love may be struggling with suicidality, a lot of people I think are hesitant to even bring that up and mention that because they're afraid that they're going to maybe push them in that direction. That's not at all the stance that we need to take. We need to be asking those hard questions. We need to say the word. Are you feeling suicidal? Do you feel like you're going to harm yourself in any way? Because that's going to be the discussion starter that may get them the help that they need.
My daughter was the one that found him. Now she's struggling with images that no one should ever have to see. Somehow she got the strength to speak at his funeral. And she said, I know your pain was too heavy for you to carry, so I'll carry it for you. It's really hitting my youngest daughter now. Right afterwards, she was busy trying to hold all of us together. There were a million questions to answer, and I couldn't even form sentences. And so she's struggling with it right now. And I know Andrew would feel so bad about that. He would never want to hurt us, and certainly not his boys.
I think a lot of people struggling in that moment, they feel that they may resolve whatever issues that they're having personally, but there's not always a lot of afterthought or forethought about what is this going to do to my friends and family, which is so utterly and totally devastating to the people that are left behind. And so I think that for someone who may be struggling to really take that moment, your pain may end, but you're actually placing that pain and more, potentially a lifetime of pain. Yeah, it's gonna be a lifetime of pain for those who are left in the wake of suicide.
In the last few weeks, I have written my son's obituary. My daughters and I have planned his funeral, picked out his coffin and his burial plot, and designed his headstone. Through it all, we've been meeting with detectives to try to determine what happened in the hours before his death. We know he left my daughter's house at 3 o'clock that afternoon. At 4 o'clock, he went to a store, and the only thing on his receipt was ammo. The morning of his funeral, I went to pick up some pictures that I had printed in case we couldn't have an open coffin. I looked up at the sky and it was just magnetic. I've never seen a sky like that. And I messaged my daughters, and one of them had actually taken a picture of it. It was almost like Andrew was telling us that he was there, and I hope he was. I hope he saw all the people that filled the funeral home for him. I hope he saw the crane that his company set up in honor of the work that he had done. I hope he saw the love and the people that were there to show him love. Two of his longtime friends also spoke at the funeral, and one of them said, Andrew was the guy that would say things everybody else was thinking, but they couldn't say. People would probably get mad at them, but when Andrew said it, he would make everyone laugh. And that was my boy. He was 37, but he was still my boy. Even in death, he's still helping people through organ donation. I just wish one of the lives he saved could have been his own.
There's always hope, but I think we need to continue to ask the tough questions. We need to talk about medication, to never give up, because as long as there's breath, there is hope.
One of the hardest things I'm still trying to deal with is there's nothing I can do to change this. I could beg God for 100 years, and I still can't bring Andrew back. The one thing I want to stress to everyone is please don't let a temporary problem lead you to a permanent action. And we've linked resources on this story at kplctv.com. If you or a loved one needs help, please reach out.
Rhonda, we love you. You know, we're here for you. Thank you for telling this story. I know it was hard for you.
Thanks.
Very hard.
And thanks to my KPLC family. They have been wonderful in helping me get through this, and all of you who have reached out to me. I'm going to let you finish the show. I'm going to take off, but I will be back on the desk on Monday.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thanks.
We'll be right back.